All right, welcome back to the welcome back to the Inbroztigators. Sorry, not used to
We're
saying
live.
that. We're alive.
We got news to react to, which is kind of unexpected, but it's been a while since we've done anything. But I guess we go live just to react to the news. And I guess you didn't hear about this. I've heard about it a few times, but there's a new book coming out, and the author, Paul Landis, was a member of the Secret Service. And I guess the little tidbit of information that we're reacting to is that Landis claims a few things. That he found the bullet that's people refer to as the magic bullet or the single bullet, which is pretty significant to the Warren Commission report. So he claims that he found it, which I think in the report it was treated as though it was discovered by doctors, right? Not that someone else had found it and placed it someplace, right? And he said he put it on Kennedy's stretcher, and I guess that's just two pieces of information. And the third piece of information is where he found it. He said he found it in the back seat of the limousine. So those are all three, details, it seems, but actually pretty significant details, right?
Yeah, because it probably leads to more questions, right? Especially them finding the bullet in the back seat. Did they say like exactly where in the back seat? Like, was it like?
Well, I mean, he's written a book, so this is kind of like a teaser to the book.
Uh,
So it says, I mean, this is an article about the book, but this is sort of like kind of like the marketing, right? See if I can scroll through here and find it. I think they said lodged in the back seat, but let me see if I can find exactly what they say.
To me, that's even more damning. If it's launched in the back seat, then it feels like it would have to come from the front.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Magic bullet theory cast into doubt by ex-Secret Service agent. I think there was plenty of doubt before this, but
Yeah. Okay. It says, as he claims it was him who found the bullet lodged in the back of the seat of the presidential limousine where Mr. Kennedy was sitting. So somewhere in here, right?
yeah, so that would have to come from the front, right?
Well, who knows? All the
Because
various
if it was,
trajectories and
we'll
whatnot.
say it was shot from the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to stop right before it went out. You know what I mean? The fact that it was lodged would mean that it would have to come in from the opposite, like from the front, basically. Because
Well,
if it came,
how it was lodged, right?
I mean, how else would you explain the bullet getting stuck if it wasn't shot from the front?
Well, I mean, maybe it was just stuck in the cushions. I don't know what he means by lodged in the seat. You gotta buy the book.
Well, I'm assuming when it says the back of the seat, it's like where you sit, like back cushion, or even in anywhere that's on the front of the back
seat. Found
seat
a bullet lodged in the back
of the seat.
Of the presidential limousine.
Like
where man, that's phrased so oddly. But
the way I see it is like
I
where
think
you lean back,
think
like that back cushion seems to be where they
yeah,
found it.
I mean, I'm kind of hovering and pointing at the back picture here. So yeah, you would assume it's like stuck. If you say it's stuck here, unless it was stuck coming out that way, right? But
Yeah.
no, I think it causes all kinds of problems, right? Because the whole point of it was that it was supposed to be right, the theory was that because it was on Connolly's stretcher that it was in him, right?
Right.
So the fact that front, back, whatever, the fact that it wasn't actually in Connolly, right, as they claim, as part of the theory, right, that it
Yeah,
hit
because
Connolly last,
supposedly
and
it
that
fell out of
bullet
his thigh or whatever, his leg, when he was in the
on the
gurney.
stretcher,
Yeah.
right? So now you have someone saying, "Well, I found it in the wrong person's seat, JFK's seat, and I put it on JFK's stretcher, not Connolly's stretcher," right? So so there are two questions. Well, if you take it as fact, right, contradicts the kind of conclusion, right? Because it wasn't lodged in any person. It was in the limousine, right? Lodged in a seat. And then two, it was on the wrong stretcher, right? So now you go, okay, well, how did it get from one stretcher to the other, right? I mean,
Is that what he's saying? He's saying
it's
he
a
found it in the
really
back of the
magic
seat and then he
bullet.
put it on the president's stretcher and then somehow it
Yeah.
got on the colonies?
Connolly's? Yeah.
Yeah, Connolly's, yeah.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so like, I mean, it only confirms what I've always thought, which there was way more bullets than just the 3.
Okay, so it says that Mr. Landis theorizes that the bullet which struck Mr. Kennedy in the back for some reason fell out before the president's body was removed from the limousine, and it did not penetrate deeply enough to also hit Mr. Connolly. So who knows what he's saying. See if I can see where. Okay, mention going. Okay. He spotted the bullet after a motorcade arrived at the hospital and put it on the stretcher carrying the president. He now guesses that Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Connolly Jr.'s stretchers somehow collided, meaning the bullet was shaken from one to the other.
It's like,
So it's that bullet's doing a lot of work.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it also seems kind of crazy that he's waiting until now to say all this stuff. But I guess he's just trying to cash in with the book. But
Hey, there's nothing wrong with cashing in.
it's one of those things that just adds more questions. It doesn't really like solve anything. Because like to me, if anything, it proves more that there was definitely more than 3 shots that they claim there was.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last episode we did, I think we pretty much thought like that the Warren Commission report kind of contradicts like they work so hard to show that the number of bullets that could have been fired matches the 3, right? The 3 shot thing, and it's just like it just seems like a real stretch. And now you have like a bullet that's wasn't where it needed to be to make those 3 fit, so it makes it even more of a stretch.
Like,
so
to me, this makes more sense that this is one of the bullets that probably hit Colony from the front and they got stuck in the back seat. Like, that would make more sense than anything. Like, I don't see how it hit the president.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, it all makes sense from that thing.
But
I mean,
from
to
the
me,
magic bullet perspective, though, it doesn't make any sense at all how it could be in the back seat.
It completely wrecks the whole theory, right?
Yeah.
If this is true, it completely wrecks it because the bullet didn't fall out of somebody's body, right? At the hospital. It was walked over and placed somewhere by someone. But
well, that was always the speculation, was that someone planted the bullet on Connolly, and that's where the magic bullet theory came in. But this, it's like, and it's weird that he says that he put it on the president's stretcher. Like, he even, Like he could have helped it out a little bit and said, "Oh yeah, well it was me that put the bullet on the Connolly stretcher." You know what I mean? He said he didn't even put it on Connolly's stretcher. He put it on Kennedy's, and for it to like him to say that they bumped into each other and it just transferred that way, it was just like that just seems so crazy to me. Like not even believable. Especially them trying to like push the magic bullet theory.
Yeah, I mean, somehow it got from one to the other, right?
What? The bullet?
Yeah.
Well, it's because someone put it there. Like even if you believe the magic bullet theory, right? Like
Even if you believe,
like someone still would have to put that bullet on the stretcher.
well, I mean, do you believe the part where it fell out of someone's leg?
No. I like what I believe is that someone always physically put that bullet there. I think the real bullet that struck either Connolly or the president is like would look like a normal bullet that shot something, especially if it hit bone, right? It'd be really distorted, have like that mushroom look of like the head.
Yeah, see, I'm not as confident in that sort of stuff. Like I want to see more on that. Like, but I agree with your sentiment, right? Like you would expect it to do something, right? But I don't know
Well, they're saying that
exactly
bullet
what
went
it
through the
looks like,
back of the president, through his front, through his
and
throat,
then hit.
and
Yeah,
then went through the back of Connolly,
yeah,
and then went through his wrist, and then
right.
somehow went back into his leg. Going through
Yeah.
all those two people and their bones, like you don't think it would be distorted at all?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I don't know what it would look like, but I understand what you're saying. I agree with
I
it generally. Like, I don't know what it should look like,
right.
but I would think that it wouldn't look perfect, right?
Well, the thing is that they
So,
even found like pieces of the bullet in his skin, so like that in itself should tell you that the bullet shouldn't fully be intact the way they found it. Because it totally like I want to say it shattered his like his wrist area. Like it went through that bone and then
yeah,
somehow did like
it
a
definitely
weird
struck
turn.
bone. I can't remember exactly which bones, but in any event, it's not in the right place if this is true, right?
Well, that's what I was saying about before too. Because like if you're saying that all these shots also came from the back, then how did he get stuck in the back seat?
Yeah. No,
Like
I
that's
mean,
another weird
I
one.
think that's a good question to ask. I don't know if exactly where it was found, how it was found.
Like if they
I
said the back
mean,
seat of like the passenger
because
seat, that would make
this guy
sense, like
is
the actual back
this
of it, but they're saying it's in the
this
back
guy is
seat.
saying it hit Kennedy in the neck and then fell into the seat is what he thinks happened. So I don't know exactly. I don't know what the details are on lodged in the seat. You know,
So he
because
must think that there was more than several shots, at least two bullets to cause injuries for the president and Connolly. Then, if he's saying
yeah,
that bullet, yeah.
he'd have to, right? Because he said that. So he, but like if he's saying it hit him in the neck, I guess he's not saying which direction it came from, right? It could have went front to back and then been in the seat, or it could have went. What does he say?
I don't know the way that he said that stuck in the seat. So I just envisioned it like actually like because it penetrated the cushion and it's like stuck in there. To me, like I don't get a sense that like it fell out and like you saw it in between the cushions. You know,
Mm.
like a piece of like an M&M. You know, like it would just find a crevice and just kind of like. But they're not really specific in this article, like as to like.
Yeah, I mean, buy the book, everybody. Someone, someone buy the book and then leave some comments. Just kidding. It says it in here. He guesses he now guesses. No, that's it. As he claims it was he who found the. Okay. I'm beginning to wonder, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Theorizes that the bullet was struck Mr. Kennedy in the back.
Okay.
For some reason, fell out before the president's body was removed from the limousine. It did not penetrate deeply enough to also hit Mr. Connolly.
Yeah, so he's saying that there had to be two different bullets.
He was saying the one he thought the one he found hit him in the back. But
Right.
go through
But he's also
and
confirming that
backseat.
the magic bullet theory is incorrect, because that theory is suggesting it was the same bullet that went through Kennedy, is the same bullet that hit Connolly. So he's saying that one hit his back, fell out,
Yeah,
and then I guess
what
another.
He's saying. This is what he's quoted as saying, right? If the bullet we know as the magic or pristine bullet stopped in President Kennedy's back, it means that the central thesis of the Warren report, the single bullet theory, is wrong.
That's also tends to be the most popular theory, is that, like, when you rewatch the film, is that people think he actually does get shot in the back, but it's also right before he gets, like, shot in the head. And that's why a lot of people heard those consecutive shots. Like, the way people described it was as one shot was ending, not like at the beginning, but the end of the sound, the other one began. So it was like the shots were almost on top of each other. And I think that's what a lot of people were thinking, was that the shot before it blows up his head, if you look, because he kind of hits that forward motion a little bit, and people are theorizing because someone actually hit him in the back with a bullet, and then he gets hit right after that in the head. And maybe that's actually the bullet that they found. It was the one that hit him in the back right before, which would make sense to me, because as far as I understand, the president had like a back brace because of his condition. So, like, it would kind of make sense if he got hit in the right spot, that maybe the bullet wouldn't penetrate and, like, maybe fall to the side or something like that. But I don't know how far that support goes up. But I do think he had a back brace that he wore, or some type of brace.
He had injury from the war. PT boat.
But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just another one of those things that kind of proves that it was a conspiracy. It points more towards a conspiracy than the official story, because once you start to figure out that there's I guess more than one shooting vantage, or like one area that people were shooting from, then obviously there had to be more than one person. Like, it's starting to prove more and more that there's more likely at least two people shooting.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because if you believe if you believe this guy, right, then you have to conclude that there is at least 4 shots now, not 3. Even though me personally, I think there's more than that. If you just go off the official story, which says there's only 3, because one missed, went off, hit the street, and that ricochet hit that one guy. The one hit the head, obviously, was the kill shot, and then the one that hit the back and then threw President and Connolly.
Yeah.
But if you believe this,
there's like competing reports by, like, I remember there were competing reports by, like, audiologists about, like, the number of shots. You know, like,
yeah, I still think it's probably
people
closer to 5 or 7. Like, that to me makes the most sense. Because, like, they were all kind of happening at the same time. It's like, that's the sense I get, was that it was a setup, and they all had several rounds, and they were trying to shoot at the same time.
I mean, to me, it's just, I think it doesn't matter, because I think that the 3 is questionable based on the details that the tests that they ran and laid out in the report. It made it seem as though it'd be very difficult for anybody to fire 3 shots, right? Like, they had the Navy marksman try to shoot the 3 shots, and they kind of struggled to replicate the results.
Yeah, it was because it was really hard to hit the back-to-back shots, right?
Yeah, it was just like the timing and then the accuracy needed, like the the dudes that they had doing the shots were actually, better shooters than Oswald, and they had a difficult time getting the number right, getting 3 shots on target in time to match the theory. To me, makes it seem like, well, the theory has some problems.
Well, yeah, because
Just based on that. Just based on what they tried to provide as their best evidence of proving the theory, to me, if you look at the numbers mathematically, it's like, it kind of shows that it's really hard to do.
because no
Which is
shooter
kinda
could hit
not
the
what you're
back-to-back
trying to do.
shots consecutively. Like they could shoot the time necessary, but they didn't have the accuracy. And the times that they did have the accuracy, they didn't make the
No, no,
time.
I mean, like, I think they even struggled to have the time.
Right. I think that was the problem, was that they were just focused on getting the time down, and that really messed with their accuracy. But at no point did they hit the back-to-back shots, right? Like it was
No,
all
it wasn't even the back-to-back shots issue. It was just the time. Just they struggled with just the time. And the conditions are like, it's set up for a test, right? And you have like, you know, better shooters who are incentivized to do it fast, right?
yeah, and the most
And
perfect
like,
conditions.
well, I don't know if they're the most perfect, but they seem
Well, I would
better
say it would be a
than
little bit more like if
seem
you're
better than if you were like actually in the theater, so to speak, right?
well, if you're in the
Training
heat of the moment, you're
versus
going to be more nervous because like you don't have that many opportunities to get it right. To whereas like if you're
yeah,
testing, you keep doing it until you get the numbers right. And at no
yeah.
point, even with all the testing, could they actually replicate what they said Oswald did.
Well, no, I mean we'll have to relook at that, but it, they had 3 different people and they had a hard time, right?
Yeah,
I can't
because the
remember
biggest
if
thing I remember
I
from
think
it
one of
was
them was able to do it, but like not all 3, and then like 2 of the 3 couldn't do it. So it's like, okay, well, makes it seem like it's more difficult than you're trying to show with this
it's more
with this
believable to
test.
think that the first and third shot connected rather than the second and third. I think is what they're trying to say.
Hmm.
Because if I remember correctly, the first shot in their theory, the Warren report, that's the one that misses, right? Second one hits the back and Connolly, and the third one is the
Well, they
headshot.
kind of lay out multiple scenarios, right?
Well, I think, but that's the one that they tend to believe was what happened, right? First is a missed shot. Second,
It's been so long, I don't remember the details.
right? But nonetheless, like what I'm getting at was that no one, I don't think, hit consecutive back-to-back shots, and that to me would be the crux. Is that there was only several seconds between the second and third shot, and with that short amount of time,
Mhm.
no one was accurate in the test. Like to me, that was like the thing was that like, well, how accurate can you get it with those time intervals? And it seemed like they were more accurate when they had like a second variance. Like say it was like 7 seconds between a shot versus like the 5 or 4 or whatever it was. That's when your accuracy really starts to like go down, which makes sense because you're just trying to get the bullet in and thing cocked and boom. You're not taking all the time that you would normally take if you're actually trying to target something.
Yeah, see, I didn't. That's not what stuck with me. The thing that stuck with me is just the timing. Like they struggled to fire off 3 shots in time to match the timing of like the report.
Yeah, because they had to do it in 7 seconds, right? 3 shots in 7 seconds.
I can't remember the overall timing of the 3 shots, but I just remember that the they had 3 people test it. They set up some sort of like, it wasn't a moving target. It was just 3 targets at different distances to kind of simulate the moving target. And they had a hard time shooting at all 3 within the time that Oswald supposedly shot the 3 shots at a moving target. Um, and to me, just the timing issue is problematic, whether or not you hit or miss, right? Just the fact that you can't get the shots off in time makes it seem kind of difficult. So I guess we're talking about something other than this. So I guess interesting news, fun to react to it. I guess we try to do some more reactions as things come along, piece together some more stuff. But you got anything else to say about this issue?
No. If anything, it just kind of confirms more of what I think really happened, but nothing really shocking. It, again, just feels like another thing that they add that just makes you want to ask more questions than it asks more questions, or creates more questions than solves questions. Is the way I get from it, or take from this.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, to be the whole scenario is shocking, right? Just the thought of someone just grabbing a bullet and putting in, carrying it. I don't know how they carried it, but carrying it and then placing it someplace else just seems kind of, you
Well,
know what I
that, and he
mean?
wasn't even referenced in the Warren report at all. So that's another
No,
thing
yeah,
that's kind of
that's the
weird.
one thing. We looked in the witnesses and he wasn't Landis is not a witness in the report. So that's kind of weird that he didn't say anything, or we don't know if he said anything or not, right? We
Because
only know that he was not included as a witness in the report,
I mean, the
because they may
reality of
have
the
talked to
situation.
people, they talked to him and they just said, but I don't know.
I mean, he could have done what he said, and they could have just used a different bullet too. Like, he may have just put it on Kennedy's stretcher, and then someone was like, "That can't be right. We got to put it on Connolly's stretcher." Like, if it went through him last, then that would make the most sense that it would be on his stretcher. For it to magically appear back in the back seat makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, regardless of what direction it came from, like it should be either in Connolly's seat or area or in his body and fell out. That no reason should it be in the back seat if you believe in the magic bullet theory.
Yeah, and this guy says he doesn't believe it. So
More fuel to the fire. But honestly, most people that we talk to about this or hear from it, most people don't believe the magic bullet theory anyway. So to me, it's not much of a surprise.
no, otherwise it wouldn't be called the magic bullet theory.
Right.
It'd be called the normal bullet theory, right?
Well, I guess it was coined the magic bullet theory from, like, I guess, conspiracy theorists or people that tend to not believe the Warren report. I don't think they call it the magic bullet theory,
No, they don't.
because then they would just
But
be
yeah.
admitting that they're fabricating it. The fact that they're
Well,
calling
yeah.
it the magic bullet theory themselves, but yeah, no, it's I do feel like maybe at one point we'll get a lot more details, like real details, in terms of like what actually happened to all the evidence and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like how it switched hands and stuff like that. Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of that detail is still being held behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have a lot more to read on this, a lot more to discover. So
Well,
it's
they still
kinda
have like
crazy.
thousands of documents that they still need to release. So I'm sure there's a lot more details in there, especially with the stuff that's being released later, or the
Yeah.
things that are being held back should have some really good stuff in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll have to start a book club or something.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably thousands and thousands of books on this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a lot of books on it. Oh well. All right.
All right.
Signing off.